Hello, everyone. I'm aLex Levin. Thanks for joining me for about a half hour of practice. This community is a precious one to me, very precious. Community in general is so important. How is it available for you? Grab a tissue. So today, as you see, I've got a blanket on top of the carpet. You want to have a comfortable space. We'll need a little bit of room. I'm going to need room to roll side to side. You'll see we'll be on our backs. If on your back is for any reason not comfortable and you're sitting in a chair, you could do what we're doing. Yeah, I'll give you an option to do this from sitting in a chair. It would be quite a bit different, but to get the same effect, I'll give you instruction for that. So let's see who's here. Somebody's here. Hi, Mary Beth. Glad you're here with me. And anyone else that joins, please do let me know you're here. I'll look closer to see the chat and acknowledge you. And then I know some of you others are out there later with me. Sometimes Virginia, sometimes Anne Catherine and Kevin, sometimes Sandra, sometimes oh gosh, what was I thinking of? I'm forgetting names. Please don't take it personally. I'm forgetting names more these days. So the time will be a little bit of rolling around on our back or seated if you choose. And then a meditation, which in my definition means that we're still and we're silent. I won't be totally silent, but you will. And you could choose to just stay on your back for that meditation. As we do these micro movements, they really take us into that deeper listening toward that stillness that's present even when things are happening, because they always are. There's this paradox almost that we live in a world of duality, and yet there is non-duality. And that word is pretty interesting. The word non-duality, as opposed to saying unity, that all is just one, it implies that non-duality sort of recognizes duality. And yet it's this listening that's always here. I want to read a poem as you gather what you need, and you can go ahead and get on your back and lie down and maybe corpse pose. I'm going to read a poem that I read this week for class on Thursday for meditative movement. It's called The Inaction of Shoes. You've heard it before from me if you've been with me before, by Ron Padgett. There are many things to be done today, and it's a lovely day to do them in. Each thing a joy to do and a joy to have done. I can tell because of the calm I feel when I think about doing them. I can almost hear them say to me, "Thank you for doing us." And when evening comes, I'll remove my shoes and place them on the floor and think how good they look sitting, standing there, not doing anything. So I think that this image or this feel of shoes, which they're inactive when they're on our feet, right? We're sort of taking them along, but there's this inactivity of this listening that's always here, and yet, like Grogu over there, he's kind of listening in. They're always listening in, and we can join that, even though it's already happening, ourselves by listening in from like out of the duality phase into that non-duality. Does that make any sense? Who knows? Anyway, if you're not on your back already, go ahead and get on your back. This part I always love, just getting on the floor. My space feels quite comfortable temperature-wise. I was going to bring in a shawl, and that's a good thing to have nearby, something to cover yourself up with if you might get a bit chilly. So from our laying down position, and just enjoy, actually, let's just enjoy this for a few more moments. Close your eyes. Notice the way you are receiving the ground. Receiving the ground here today. Notice the way the ground is receiving you. Notice that as you breathe, your body is shifting slightly the way that it leans against the ground. Different parts get a little heavier in the wave of breath. Some parts come up a little away from the ground. Notice the way the breath feels inside you. Notice that connection from inside to outside, outside to inside. Really a seamless stream. Maybe sometimes it doesn't feel so seamless when we're congested or having difficulty breathing for other reasons. Notice the feeling, the sense of being right here, which we can actually never not be, but we take trips in our minds away and distract ourselves from that feeling. And there's no problem with that. But there's part of us that's always here, always in the present, or this whole of us is always here. It's good to be in touch with that. And I posit that we all humans long for that. All right, let's draw your knees into your chest and maybe hold on behind the knees or on top of the knees, and just the legs can be kind of wide or closer together. It can shift, and just begin to tilt and roll yourself to one side. Do it with as effortlessly as possible. And if you're sitting in a chair, just shift your weight. Begin to slowly let your weight shift all to one side of the body, as if one side gets heavier down through the sit bone of that side. And then we come back to center, whether we're on our backs or sitting in a chair. And then see how little effort, what could happen on just letting one leg tip out to the side, and see if the rest of the body can follow with as little effort, just like it's honey, warm honey rolling with gravity, running with gravity. And if you're seated, actually it's probably even easier, and yet we can find places that resist or effort to make this happen. And I'm not going to roll, I might on this side roll all the way over to the side. On the other side, my earbud might come out, so I won't do that. When you're on your side, just rest there, just rest. And I'm going to imagine now that it's my nose that guides, just for fun to see, my nose is going to guide this next roll. How would that happen effortlessly? Sort of comes through the core and starts to lift the leg. And use the ground. Lean. Something needs to go down to let something else go up. Very simple physics principle that all of us get to learn on the playground. You might pause at center. And again, if you're in a chair, you just have this moving in sort of the whole side of one side of your torso, your body leans and gets heavier, 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 even tilts to one side a little bit like a side bend. And from a full stop place, now I'm going to imagine it's my heart area, my middle of my chest, maybe my breastbone, front of my heart that starts, that initiates the movement and says, come on, guys, all together now, easy, easy, light, light, simple, simple. All right, I am going to come up to sitting, but you just keep rolling onto your side, roll all the way onto your side. And maybe do that a couple more times. Breathing. And even as we notice ground and breath, can we also notice sound? Sound. And when you're ready, let yourself come to center. Take your time. It can be over the next 4, 6, 8 breaths, 9. And as kind of intuitively, as you soak up all that you're sensing, all that you're listening into, effortlessly, just there's no agenda, there's no rules, there's just, maybe there's a busy mind, maybe it's a calm mind, maybe there's a peaceful heart, maybe there are tugs at the heart, maybe the body is mostly comfortable, maybe all comfortable, maybe there's some part of you that's achy, and some blend of this body, something from the body, something from the mind, something from the heart, often are very interconnected. And here we're just entertaining them, just giving them space, giving them a metaphorical cup of tea and our attention. And from here, what would be the position that you'd like to stay still in? Perhaps it's right where you are on the ground. So as you might be really digging the stillness there, and so you could just stay there. Perhaps it's to come to sitting as I did. And then get what you need as I'm getting a cushion underneath my pelvis. And so maybe you barely moved at all, or maybe you readjusted. And so do what you need to make that seat comfortable. So I'm going to really shift things around. Use my leopard ball. Yep, I know. Okay. Alrighty. And let's slide into about 8 minutes of, maybe 9 minutes today. I think I've been doing 6 or 7. Let's go 9 minutes of meditation. If you've shifted position, and even if you're in the same position from our movement, once again, let's arrive, because we can arrive again and again in this moment to a more full sense of our wholeness. And a very powerful way to do that is through just feeling in our body, feeling what the body feels like in relation to the ground, the surface to surface touch of our back body against the ground if you're in that position. For me, it's the tops of my feet and toes as I sit kind of between my heels on a cushion. My knees, a little part of my shins barely touching. You'll notice other sensations in your body, perhaps in your belly area, your heart. Shoulders. Hands. Eyes. Mouth. And then this feel of where we are, how the body feels in relation to the space around us, to the gravitational field pulling us toward the ground. So we just relax more and see how we can be held by this invisible grid of gravity that is a force of the earth, of her motion, holding us down, keeping us in place, and yet with freedom to be upright and move around and reach, jump, play and hug, stand like the shoes. there's any kind of friction that feels like of the mind stuff or from the body, from the heart, or feels like an urgency or anything, the flavor that might be irritating or puzzling. Just as we hold the easier ones, the peaceful feeling, the relaxed feeling, accepting feelings. The relationship with all of these is what this non-duality is, this listening in. Just here. It's as if by fully receiving, without having to do anything about it, fully receiving everything that meets us. Not that it asks anything of us, takes anything away from us, not even adds anything to us, just receiving with our attention. Which everyone has in equal measure. Brings us to that wholeness that we seek to get back to. And we never left. Couple more breaths here together. Another transition. Early in my learning of yoga, my teacher would say that we were learning postures, and there's something about our learning that guides us to how do we get the posture just right. And she would add that the transition from posture to posture. And so if you practice vinyasa or flow yoga, that kind of from the get-go emphasizes that. So how we transition from place to place, from thing to thing, from activity to activity is we tend to not be mindful of sometimes, and yet it's a super great practice to hone in on that, because we're always actually in transition, and we can meet it, and there can be a richness there in seeing what the friction or what the obstacle, what the hindrance is. Because in that hindrance is a treasure for each of us, individually crafted for us. I think that'll be my theme for next week. I'll make a note of that. The bowing. I bow to this practice. I bow to you joining me. I bow to our Sun and Moon Yoga community. I bow to all that allows us to be here together. So thank you for joining me. I might see if I can get you to see the critters here who are listening in besides the Grogu at back. Let's see if I can tilt the camera. There's Rock. See his head? I don't know. There. And then there's Max. And then there's Tommy. There's me. Thanks again for joining me. Have a great week, a nice day, and let's see you here next week.